organized, and this is the actual strategy that I did when I was like in high school and college and everything else. Put a date, a section, and a what it is. So if I was you, I would put 11, 14, 19, 4.1.2 scale drawings. So when you look back, like let's say the next time you have an open note test and you go to look for scale drawing information, you know where it is. Now the date is not all that important, but just get used to that habit because it will be important later in life to keep yourself organized by date. You know, go for it. Your eyeballs? I'm sorry.
I'm surprised that passes fire code.
It doesn't.
What?
The only reason it doesn't actually is because the cords are attached to the ceiling. That's the thing that's not allowed to be true. But if they were just hanging, like free hanging, they would technically be allowed. Because normally you don't have a power outlet in the ceiling, but that was there for the projector that used to be there. So now I still use it.
Wait, so technically those are fire hazards?
I don't know. I'm being recorded right now, so I'm going to plead the fifth, since the little counter indicates that yes, my recording. We just headed your paper with what we're talking about. Alright, so we're all ready to focus now. We are talking about scale drawings today, which means we get to draw. And if we end up with time, there's also a Desmos activity if we have time to get to it. So it'll kind of be our debate at the end of class of like, do you want to do that or do you just want to work on the practice work or whatever? But we got to take some notes first. And we have one of the problems is on your white sheet for today, so please keep it out. Again, as I see some of you have already taken the opportunity to grab some highlighters and use those on your like notes paper or your homework or whatever. I encourage that. If you don't have highlighters of your own, you may borrow. Borrow means you return from over here in my fancy IKEA containers. So if you want some highlighters, there's obviously a lot. Yeah, my favorite lots of things is from IKEA. My whole kitchen is from IKEA. So.
Did you buy a picture from IKEA?
Yes. They got delivered in box. What? Yeah, I mean, look, they're made by Whirlpool, but they sell ovens.
One blue. Mr. Hudson, I keep putting my highlighter on our wall table and I keep forgetting that every day.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Why don't you just cover the back, your back?
Yeah, I should probably do that, but...
Alright, are we ready to focus or do we need to do something to help our focus? Because we seem a little bubbly today.
We are. You should go...
Everybody stand up beside your desk.
Oh, yes.
Yes, exercise. Jumping jack.
Okay, have we done this in this class yet?
We did a split.
Here. Stand. Yeah. I think it's like a half salutation thing. So you're gonna inhale on the up. Through your nose, right? And then exhale on the fold.
And then down.
All of it. And up. And down. One more. And up. And down. And you can even add that. Alright, we're going to learn. Alright, grab a seat. You can literally grab it if you want, but it's better to sit in it. Careful. A scale. Hey, that was meant to help us like get ready to learn. Yes, Callie's doing her job, putting the homework up there. It's my fault that we don't have a 411 up, probably because Callie was coming back from being sick. Today's Thursday, and that's why you're writing Thursday. Perfect, you guys are awesome. So a scale drawing. Hey, me. You know what Callie's writing up there because you already put it in your plan book. A scale drawing is going to need something that we talked about yesterday. That's in this box. What did we talk about yesterday? It should be written on the paper you're looking at that is involved in scale drawings that even has the word scale. Maribel?
Scale back.
Rhea?
Similar.
Yeah, well, a scale drawing is a similar figure.
Scale factor.
A scale factor. So a scale drawing has to have a scale factor. So let's remind our brains a scale factor tells us, essentially the conversion. Right? So this conversion is an inch in the drawing equals 5 miles. And in this case, we're not talking about a drawing, we're talking about a map. So just like we talked about architects yesterday, if we're a map maker and we're going to make maps for people, we're not going to make them at the actual size.
Yes.
Right? That would be silly.
We have to make a map of Texas.
We have to make what?
A map of Texas, the real size.
The real size? So, okay, have fun with that. Actually, don't have fun with that because that amount of paper usage would break my heart. So, map makers use scale drawings. Often, it's some amount of inches, because we're Americans and we like inches, equals some amount of miles. Same, America. So, a map of Pennsylvania, the actual state of Pennsylvania, if you've ever driven through it, you've probably experienced this, is big. It is 250 miles long and 450 miles wide. So if you are going east to west, right, width, and you're driving through Pennsylvania, it's over 400 miles, which is like 6 hours.
That's why you go through Erie. Yeah.
So,
A tiny piece of land on Lake Erie.
yes.
When we went to New York, so it was like 7 hours, and most of the 7 hours was just in Pennsylvania.
Yep, that's what happens. So go ahead and write down on your paper, 1 inch equals 5 miles. And if you'd like, you can remind yourself that is our scale factor. You can put that SF there. And Ulila, I don't quite know how to say this name, measures from downtown Philadelphia to Valley Forge is 14 miles. Now, did she actually measure 14 miles?
Yeah.
How'd she figure this out? Morgan? So how many inches did she measure is really what we should be asking. What could I use to relate? What could I use to relate my 1 inch and 5 miles?
2 and...
What's it called when I do that? A fraction equal to a fraction is a...
Equivalent fraction.
Well, yeah, starts with a P though. One word that we can easily talk about, a proportion. So go ahead and set that up on your paper, and we're going to fill in what we know, the 14 miles. No, thank you. I did eat a muffin though, so I can.
Mr. Hudson, do you have to eat before you take your haircut?
Yes, gotta eat something. Or drink milk, and I can't drink milk
Any kind of
because I'm lactose
I'm
sensitive.
lactose intolerant as well.
What about almond milk?
Yes, I do drink that.
I eat.
Now, hold up. Can anyone remember, since this multiplication isn't nice, there are 2 options that we have here. Well, there are probably more than that, but there are 2 decent options for how we're going to solve for that unknown. Bell?
So first you would take how many, there's 5 goes through 14 2 times, so that's like 2, at least 2.
Okay. I agree. At least 2 inches.
Sorry.
I agree, but how do we figure out the exact?
Super trend.
You want to take,
Dude? Sorry. Valley, you want to continue or no?
no, not really. Someone else. Math.
Nikki?
So we're going into 5 and 14, right? Okay.
Notice how they raised their hands.
So you would take, I would personally split 14 up into 10 and 4 to kind of
I like it.
5 and 10, 5 into 10 multiplied by 2. And
Yeah, so it's 2 point something, right? I agree.
2 point, I don't really want to say 4. 2.4. 2.8.
2.8 is what we would actually get. But Nick was up here saying, division, I'm saying division. If we want to figure out what that multiplication is, we can divide. right? So that's one way that we can do this. This gets us the multiplication of 2.8 and will get us our answer of 2.8 inches. Now, often we wouldn't really say 0.8 inches. We would really do something else. But let's imagine these numbers are like bad, not very nice to work with.
Yeah.
If we don't know something, we can use a variable. We can always solve a proportion. What word am I about to say?
Magic. Reciprocal.
Cross multiplication. So, if we, hey, this is when using highlighters is really nice. You could do that. This becomes 4. Oh, wait.
We're good students.
Well, I'm also going to write in colors, I think.
Why do we use X?
Yeah, why do we use X?
You can use
It's the
any
most,
letter.
yeah, you can use any letter, but X is just the most common variable. We do 14 times 1 equals 5 times the X. And you can write those in highlighters if you want. Are we going to make a cross multiplication song?
Oh.
Cross multiplication, then we gotta divide.
Yeah!
Yeah.
Can you try to find one online?
We need to add like a jaguar or something. Ow! Yeah, but math could be like musical theater at the same
That'd be
time.
funny if you made a show called Music with Micah.
Wait, can I teach today? Wait.
No, we're putting that off. Sorry, we're putting that off.
Wait, what did we put in?
So, hey, we gotta focus, because otherwise we're never gonna get through this, and we're never gonna get to building houses in Desmos. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like the interior?
Yes. Lily's trying to find an issue with what I want to do, and she's like, okay, never mind, fine. So, guys, you don't have to fully understand this process yet, but I want you to write it down, because this will solve any proportional situation where we're missing one thing. You had 3 things given to you here, right? The scale factor involved 2 things, inches and miles that are equal to each other, and then you were given the amount of miles that they measured. Here's the trickiest part that people goof up. Because I put inches on top and miles on bottom, I have to have my inches on top. Please don't. I have to put my inches on top and my miles on bottom. Then we can cross multiply, and we'll pretty much always be left with needing to divide to get the x by itself. Questions? We're gonna burn through a couple of these problems really fast, and then we're gonna do
What if
Desmos.
we're running out of space? Can we go on to the back?
Sure, or you can start a new piece. If you're using highlighter and stuff, I would start a new piece. I would not use the back. Like,
How much space will we need for this
You gotta save the trees.
How much space
on the back, that's up to you.
How much space will we
Hey, do you see the clock ticking away?
Okay.
I don't know. It's up to you. We might. So we're not gonna necessarily do this right at the moment. Depends. We have. So here's the options of questions we have. We're gonna potentially help Guillermo with his drawing of his. Is this the one that I put on your white paper?
Yeah.
Let's jump to this one since this is on your white paper.
Okay, fine, Mom.
So we want to figure out the actual dimensions of every room. Knowing this, I want to see if you, let's say like 3 minutes, we'll check back in. If the actual dimensions of the garage are 20 and 25, and please don't ask me which one's which, you can figure that out. If the actual dimensions are 20 by 25, what is your scale factor here? Essentially, what does 1 inch actually equal? And then, what are the dimensions of the other rooms? Right, and it kind of walks you through that. So if you answer these questions, it'll walk you through figuring all that out. So give that a shot.
Wait, with our friend.
Yep, with your partner or with whatever.
What's 25? Okay, so 25 has to be in the
be looking on your paper, working on your paper, and or talking to your partner.
I know, I'm just thinking. I am confused.
Why are you confused, Maria?
I don't know what to do.
Well, the first thing we want to do is determine what's 1 inch equal in actuality. And when we look at the 20 and the 25 for the dimensions of the garage, we got a shorter edge and a longer edge. Right? So our shorter edge only makes sense to be the 1 inch. Because the 1 1/4 would be the longer one. Right, does that make sense? So then, sure, yes or no? So then that actually tells us that the 1 inch here equals 20 feet. So if you got highlighters or whatever, if you want to underline 20 with one color and kind of draw that here and then do 25 in a different color, yeah. This is here, you know that, right? I said this is on your white sheet. Let's do this since it's on your white sheet.
I was in focus mode.
I can tell that you weren't focusing on me.
No, I was. Okay,
So hopefully we all got to the point of realizing that with 20 by 25, the 25 would need to go on the longer, whatever, like, so we've got 1 inch and 1 1/4, right, for the garage. So the 1 1/4 would be our 25. Ignore that. The 1 inch tells us the scale. So 1 inch is equal to 20 feet. So I'm going to use the foot marking instead of putting FT because I'm out of space. So if 1 inch is 20 feet, ooh, this is a good opportunity for random cards.
40 feet.
Nick, quit telling us what happens at the end of the movie.
Nick, you're being not a big friend.
Callie, how long is the living room actually?
Wait,
40, right? Because if it's 2 inches and each inch is 20 feet, the living room would be 40 feet long. Right? Bella, how wide would the living room be?
Oh, okay. It would be 25 feet.
Also 25, right? Because it shares the same width as the garage, or whatever direction you want to say. The dining room. Savannah, when you went to find when you went to find the dining room, kitchen, office, like that information, talk about it. What do you mean? Sorry, somebody said something. I thought it was you. Can we figure out, besides the dining room, the kitchen, and the office?
Not really.
Why?
Because we don't have the inch measurements.
If we don't have another piece of info, right, the inch measurements that correspond to it, we can't figure it out. Morgan?
I mean, kind of can because we have a general idea of how long on this is an inch, apparently.
So wait, what can we figure out?
Like around, like that gap, like close enough.
Could you tell me what this is?
Yes, it's 3 inches.
And that means how many feet?
Is 60.
Yeah, we could at least figure out that that's 60 feet. But without any other information, we're kind of stuck. Now, this sort of thing, it's okay that we're stuck there because we're talking about the living room. We're gonna lay carpet. Now, personally, I think carpet is a bad decision. But if you have a family and kids and you want things that are soft, I guess the carpet might be a good idea. I know. We had fleas once and it was the worst thing ever. I had to bomb the house twice. I'm not putting carpet in my house again.
You bombed the house?
Flea bombs. Yeah. You like it's like a grenade on like take what looks like a pop can. I know we're off on a tangent now again. Take what looks like a pop can and when you pop the top you have to run away because it's poison.
Oh.
And so you seal your house up, you do that, you have to be gone for like 4 hours. Then you come back, open up every window, like, and I actually like wore like a face mask thing. Open up all your windows, and you still have to stay outside your house for like another hour while it airs out.
Where did you put your dogs when you did that?
With us, we went to the dog park and had a fun day, and we like went all over the place.
4 hours?
We have friends. I went to like friends. houses.
I really went to
So
All lonely. All like out.
I heard it as it came out. It sounded very defensive. I have friends. How?
Almost sound like you're fake and having friends.
How? I'll list them if you want me to.
Listen to them, do it.
Christian and Kristen and Seth.
Whoa.
We sound made up.
They're actually getting married. Yeah, Christian and Kristen.
Oh, I know them.
Hey, notice the clock ticking away and us not doing
You're the one
business.
that started this.
But you guys keep it going. You know me. You know I'll go off on a tangent. Let me get back. I just wrote something on the board. I'm trying to get back to math.
Roasted you, Billy.
How are we going to find the area of the living room, Zach? What are we going to do?
You're gonna do 40 times 25.
40 times. Hey, this is on your homework essentially. We're going to do 40 times 25. Now, what's 25 times 4? 100. So put another 0. That area is 1,000. Hold on. This is going to start to matter. 1,000 what?
1,000 feet. Squared.
It's not feet, it's feet squared. Feet is length. Area, look at the floor. We have carpet. Area covers space. We run a length. We put down an area. Right? So if this costs $1.25 per square foot, which is actually pretty cheap for carpet, Savannah, what are we going to do?
I multiplied 125 by 1,000 and added in the decimal and got $1,250.
Let's double check that. You're right. But let's double check how we do it, right? You are right. But how, so you said it really fast. So you said you multiplied through, you said something about a decimal.
I took out the decimal and then multiplied 125 by 1,000.
Okay, so you took out the decimal, multiplied it. Another way we can do this is, how many zeros am I multiplying with? 3. Move the decimal 3 places. I have to put on a 0 here, so that becomes 1, 2, 5, 0. I plant the decimal here, and now I look. Oh yeah, 1,250. So even though that's cheap for carpet, that's expensive to put. That's $1,000 of carpet, right? So that's expensive. And then you normally have to pay people to install it. Because carpet, I can't even install carpet. I can install a hardwood floor, but carpet is like a special skill you have to learn. Morgan?
So if you could just beat square, can you just beat rectangle?
No.
Oh, whoa.
So squared just means it takes up space.
What?
It actually is rectangle. It's just a term.
Wait, bigger square is a rectangle.
Hey, please make sure you have dollars on this. Please make sure you have dollars on that.
What's bigger, square?
Hold on. Last thing, and then we'll jump to Desmos. Last thing. So, who was it? Somebody has been here. I forget who it was. Lily Mirabelle. Somebody.
There's taxes as well.
Isn't this out in Yosemite? I think Sentinel Fall and Sentinel Dome. I think all of this is in Yosemite. So if we use this, now this is what you'll see on a map.
Yeah, it's max.
We would need to use a ruler. So I want to make sure to show you this. So pencils down for a moment, actually. Eyes up on the screen. If this, we used to have, you'd have a textbook in front of you. Or, and I debated putting this on your paper. But if you don't need a ruler, notice how I said pencils down. This is not on your paper. Now you might, for your homework, need a ruler. But we will put a ruler on here. Right? You measure, hey Toby, go sit down for me, please. You measure how far it is. This would be what you would actually do, right? If you were out hiking, then
You just have a ruler on you out hiking?
if you had a map and a compass, you would, because your compass has a ruler on it. Mic drop. Yeah, your compass, the thing, the compass, not all of them, but if you have a decent one for map, orienteering. If you're going to be out hiking trails like this, you're going to have decent materials. Okay, so can I get through this so we can get to Desmos?
Yes.
So if we were asked what's the distance from Sentinel Fall to Sentinel Dome, all we do is align your ruler, and then rotate your ruler, figure out your length. What is the length from Sentinel Fall to Sentinel Dome? 6.5. 6.5. Now, over here, what was our scale that we saw? 5 is how far? 5 is half of a mile. So if we had 5, let's assume these are inches on here. We have 5 inches is 0.5 miles. We build our proportion. Yeah, you can go ahead and write this if you want. And we have 6.5. Now, actually, if we're real crafty, we don't even need to figure out the multiplication and everything. This went from a 5 and a 5 to a 6, 5. So down here, we're going to have 0.65. Right? That one works out real nice. Now, we could cross multiply and do what we did before, but we don't have to. So now with the 15 minutes left, I want you to please, let me double check because I did not reserve any of these. I hope we have some from Yeah, go grab Chromebooks right around here. Grab a Chromebook real fast. I mean, unless you want to work in pairs, you can design a house together if you want. You know what to do. Student.desmos.com. Have you or a loved one used Roundup weed killer?
Wow.
I told you this morning that it's just too much. It's a little too much. Your children have to do Roundup weed killer.
Wait.
I know. Doesn't really make it a whole lot better. What if you had like life? So we're talking about scale drawings, right? What if you had 2 scale like life-size plastic, right? Fake, but like big toes. You wouldn't think that'd be weird? No. Now I did have a friend in drumline that had gauges, and he would put his drumsticks in his ears. Man, no one's in yet. We're waiting. We're waiting. Oh my gosh. No one's in yet? The funny thing is how much they'll actually like stretch back after you take stuff out. If you don't keep your gauges in, they close up.
My dad had gauges in the past, make it kind of look like
We got Mirabelle. Mirabelle's our winner. First one in. Got Joe Mama.
Rico, is that you?
Quit wasting time trying to think of a clever name.
Do you see our name, Mr. Hudson?
Livia. I dig it.
It's like
Oh,
Olivia.
Stinky. You guys know that if I actually care about this, all I have to do is walk around and look at your screen and figure out who's who, right? I just don't care. I just want you to get into the activity. All right, so in this activity, and remember the code is still up here. Don't freak out. You are going to build your house. So here's your car. Nice, sexy yellow car. You are going to decide. Wait, you never heard people call a car sexy?
No, people aren't weird like that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Gone in 60 Seconds? Every car is a name. Like.
Yeah, you can call your car a name, but not sexy.
Yeah, you can. Oh wait! Now I have a motorcycle.
Whoa! What? What's that?
Is that one sexy?
Now hold up. Hey, before you just design like crazy, realize you're going to need to buy materials, right? Then you're going to replace fencing. I got a pickup truck.
Where'd my Desmos go? Where'd my Desmos go?
I agree. You could take those in your driveway too. Remember, you can change the size of your house and the size of your driveway. As Morgan is saying back here, she likes dogs and she wants a lot of driveway or a lot of yard. That makes animals sick when you grass they kill. So I do like my dogs having yard, but I'm gonna make sure I have plenty of house for them. Each box is 5 feet long. Each box. Now, if I do something like this, I now get annoyed and I'm like, oh crap, I'm actually gonna go back and put this on the actual line instead of in between the line. Same here. I'm gonna put it on the line. If each box is 5 feet. This is why I kind of said you could just each have your own, so you don't argue about things. You have 5 minutes. Okay, just make a decision and move on. Make a decision and move on.
Wait, do we need concrete for our house too?
60. Wait, but we also have to submit.
Well, read what it says. The house has what's called a foundation, which is for concrete. Lily, you're not helping. Hey, notice how this graph paper kind of has bolded lines every 5. If you like that style of graph paper, they do sell graph paper like that. That has bolded lines every like 5 boxes or 10 boxes. I might actually ask Randy if I can borrow some of his drawings. My friend Randy, who is a draftsman, uses that type of graph paper so that you can quickly say 5, 10, 15, 17, right? Like you count by 5s and then you count the extra. So here, I can say 5 and 4 extra really quickly. And I can say 5, 10. Huh? Buy extra what? Zach, you just have all the money in the world and you don't like care about what you spend. There's a budget always. Slaughter. Which is funny because one of his favorite books is Slaughterhouse.
Oh wow. My grandma's
Slaughter.
It's incorrect.
Interesting. Wonder if they're related. Your grandma isn't Donna, is she? Because that's Randy's grandma. Andrea. What?
What's the most expensive fencing we can
Fencing
get?
what?
Are you
Every box is 5 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I sure what is right? Which slide? Are you on here now? You're back here?
No, we're on that one. We're on that one.
Who are you guys? Lil,
Oh,
Lil,
that's the border one.
Okay, what are you wondering? So, it's not 5 square, well, it's 5 by 5. So this scale, hey, bring it together for just a second, because I think a lot of us are still on slide 2. So this is Lil Evia's. Yeah, Lily. I can't totally. So they have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 across here, and then 10 down here. So their house is 10 boxes by 10 boxes. But each box is 5 feet, so their house is actually 50 by 50. You have to multiply the feet. So what's 50 times 50? 2,500. This is 2,500 square feet. Do me a favor, open a new tab. I want to show you a cool website, and you can always come back to this. Open a new tab. Go to Franklin County Auditor.
Mr. Hudson, do we have Apple or June tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah.
We won't collect homework this week. I need to grade your test this weekend.
What if we never?
Type in your, if you want, or anybody. You're all gonna know where I live now.
What if we
Whatever.
never?
I'm gonna stop recording for that purpose.